been a great supporter of our vision. I'm happy to see PG, right, that have come on board for one of the key partners in terms of finishes in our development. But before I start in everything else and welcoming everybody, firstly, I would like to pay tribute to the founder of the vision, Colonel Christian Katsande, who is our executive chairman. With him, everything that we are doing is we are following in his footsteps. He is the guider of our vision, and he is the one who has said we needed a new development in Harare that spoke predominantly to issues of an eco estate. And we are trying to hold true to that particular vision. Ladies and gentlemen, the product that we have given you and that we want to bring to this community is a product that will speak to true development. We are not here to actually build a community that does not last or sustain. Our key statement is we build enduring value. So to build enduring value, your value comes from how you interact with your community, how you interact with your neighbor. As we were growing up, one of the key things we were able to understand and see is that in the high densities of Zimbabwe, you could actually buy a carton of milk with milk tokens, and you're able to leave it outside. And in the morning, you would find your tokens exchanged for milk. Right? With multitudes of people, no one stole from anyone. It was because we had a sense of community and a sense of belonging. Today, we have to guide ourselves to use technologies, cameras, etc., to actually engender that honesty and vibrancy. These are the things that we want to speak to at Borrowdale Valley Estate. We want to speak to issues where we build. This is better. Okay. We want to build a community where that is the norm, where the value of your neighbor is seen by the values that we embody as one group of people. So the first thing we came up with is how do we actually get that done? If we are in the business of just selling stands, which is what everybody else in the market is doing, we do not create the value concept of our next door neighbor. And nothing changes when you develop as an island. So we came up with the concept of build now, pay later, which meant that we had to defer the gratification of the developer, which is you don't actually have to pay for the land up front. That is the delayed gratification. What does the delayed gratification mean? It means you hold the developer to account for everything that they are doing. When you are building your house, you are actually seeing that the roads, the street lights, the services are going in at the same time. Dual concurrent development. So you actually hold the developer to account to a level where when you have finished building your house, if the services and standards are not to your liking, you can actually delay that gratification further and say you are not paying. Which means we have actually put ourselves and are holding ourselves to a standard of saying everything and every particular facility you will see here will be world class. Because our sister company, which is Borrowdale Construction and Borrowdale Concrete, are the ones that will be doing the development. This is an arm's length contract. They are supposed to perform their construction and development in the standards that are expected everywhere. We chose them because they are in the market, but we looked at what they are also able to do. What have they been able to demonstrate? Currently, they've just finished building the superstructure at Afrexim Bank. So they've actually shown that they can actually do high-class, world-class material construction. So the African Bank, as you see it at the corner of 7th and Herbert Chitepo, that's a demonstration of Broadhaven construction quality. So that is what we are trying to bring to BVE. It is also a ZBCA grade A contractor, right? So by ministry standards and country standards, they are there in the top notch in terms of the built environment. So that is who we have partnered keenly for the delivery of the construction. The build now, pay later model also allows us to actually filter those that do not fit in the category of the development here. What do I mean by that? If you are not able to build a house within 36 months, it means generally that you're not our customer. Because what we are looking at is the people who want to put infrastructure on the ground. We are not looking for people who want to speculate about construction. We want people who know that their neighbor's value is determined by their own input on their own piece of land. That is how we will congregate and bring up a community that is world class. So phase 1 of Borrowdale Valley Estate has 1,200 units. To be specific, 1,178, of which 257 have already been taken up, right? So that means the train has left the station. And of that 257, there's another 120 which are being invested in by the estate itself in terms of developing 120, making it 370 units that have already flown off the shelf. So today, as you take a tour and go around, feel free to ask as many questions as you want around the concept of build now, pay later. We are pleased to announce that we have also gone into a very fine partnership with Fine and Country. They are going to be leading our sales side in terms of the development. So you are free. They are here. The ladies are sitting in the center. They can raise their hands and make sure that you talk to them. They will be able to give you the right directions. Without further ado, I would also like to introduce my partner and co-founder, Edward Home, so that he can come and say a few words.
Wow, that's one of the few words. Where's Mambo Katsande? Hello, mate. I just want to take us back to you, your father, Colonel Christian, who's been mentioned already, Munyarazi Manjani, and myself, standing here all those years ago. There was no tent. There was no built-up anything, no roads. There was some of the initial road work had been done. That's how we got here. And we were standing in this environment that was so conducive to what we are now witnessing and feeling, which is being on the cusp of a decade of unprecedented growth. But with that comes the responsibilities that on that day we spoke about. And we started with our trees. And just outside here is the one tree we were talking about. So that tree must not come down. And that led on to the other responsibilities that we bear in the delivery of this world-class, world-standard community development project. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the community at the end. But the environment that we're in, it's incumbent on us that whilst this growth, this wave, this tidal wave of growth, as we're seeing all over Harare, all over Zimbabwe, and all over the region, as more and more people are waking up to the fact that this is a very important next step of engagement for all of us, we have the responsibility to safeguard that environment that we're operating in, because there will be an impact. So our aim is first to do no harm. but there will be an impact that we have to manage. So we are investing in researching and looking at international technologies. From Canada, there's a dust suppression binding agent which has passed all the environmental tests that actually binds the soils, aids water runoff, and reduces, importantly for us, cost of production of tar macadam roads. Part of that research is leading us into other areas. With a sister company on the concrete side, we've had our teams down in Durban last week. We've had them traveling in other parts of Africa and including the UK and the Middle East to see where the technology lead is going so we can adopt and adapt for something that is such a signature project. In terms of the environment also, whilst we are protecting our trees, we are safeguarding 200 hectares of the 600 in green space. We're going to introduce some of the animals down at the far end by the dam that we're also going to be raising in size so that we can ensure that we do have a commitment to preservation of some of our natural space that we're in amongst, which also adds to not just the well-being of the community, but enhancement in value also. Water is a key ingredient the world over, and none least here. We've obviously come out of a drought recently and then some flooding. A lot of construction sites around the world, you end up having increased flooding because people haven't taken into consideration the downstream effect of increased runoff surfaces. We're going to use that to our advantage and look at water capture technologies as well as water reticulation. And management of any boreholes in relation with water use from the dam and recycling and recovery of water, we're going to be tracking that with a technology that enables us to contribute to any national debate on how we are looking after the subsurface water as well. We're all part of a collective journey on this growth of this next phase of Zimbabwe's infrastructure development. But being leaders in the construction space and leaders in the community development projects, not just building houses, but that community development that Munya was talking about, we are very keen to engage with, hear, learn from, and bring that modern technology that is relevant, that is adaptable, adoptable, and cost-effective into the space. Because whatever we do and showcase here, we can take wider Zimbabwe, we can take into the region as well. There's more than enough work for everyone right now, so we're quite happy to just inject some capital and some time and some commitment into not just ticking boxes on the environmental management side, not just getting the environmental impact assessment done, not just ensuring that Emma is happy every time they visit and our sheikh looks after them every time they do. We want to go a little bit further, always that little further, because those that follow must see that we have taken our responsibility seriously. I think that's enough in terms of just demonstrating where we want to ensure that our impact on the environment is not doing any harm, but it's also enabling us to learn as we grow so that we can take it elsewhere to help others. On the community side, why is this good for the local community in the immediate environment, but also the wider community? Well, naturally, if we're going to be building more than 2,000 units over time, building the warehousing that's going to supply a lot of the inputs for various people, the shopping malls, etc., we're bringing an increased spending power to this particular neck of the woods. We're also going to need to access what, as you drive in on the road here, you see on the left-hand side here, that wonderfully fertile soil producing all those vegetables and food crops. So this area will become somewhere where that basic level of trade is going to increase. But more importantly, within our group of companies, we've already started focusing on and are doing education programs that span the whole spectrum. So not only are we helping with education at the most junior level, schools, senior schools, we've got artisan training programs. We've got an array of projects, and specifically this project that requires a skill set that we need to be sharing, training, and then enabling those members of the community who want to perhaps go down and pursue that tradecraft. They can learn it here and we'll help them with that. Similarly, we have a number of degree programs where we're supporting people up to degree level. We've even put people through PhDs so that we have a collective impact on the skill uplift using these projects, adopting and adapting, as I say, international best practice so that they can carry that forward wherever else they go. The community for us is is actually very important. We've had a philosophy for a long time where anything we engage with and do has to be firstly good for the country, it has to be good for the community, it has to be good for the company. We need that fiscal discipline to ensure we return funding in terms of investment impact, profit focus that enables us to support our intentions around everything else that I've said. There are obviously a lot of other specific and granular design and technologies and commitments we're going to be making around environment and community. But I just wanted to add to the CEO's words to let you see, not only face to name, but hear from those of us who stood here all those years ago, the first road, talking about our tree, the environment, and how we were going to look after it, to bring this vision that the CEO is now energizing to bear. We've come a long way already, and we are just starting. It's very exciting, and it's a pleasure to welcome you all here. Thank you very much. I think you're now going to hear from Matt, who's going to talk about the construction side of things. Thank you very much.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much to the CEO. Thank you very much for the opportunity to come and talk on behalf of Borrowdale Construction as well as Borrowdale Concrete. As the CEO covered in his speech, which is hard for me to try and carry on from, it was quite a wow speech, as Mr. Hermit has referred to. We are honoured as Borrowdale Concrete, albeit similar shareholders, the same shareholders as Borrowdale Valley Estates, we still had to go through the processes in order to be awarded the contract to become on as the afforded major contractor of the construction. So having done that and stood alongside the CEO and the team from BV and gone through the 22 designs, which are phenomenal. If you've got a chance to go through them, go through them. They are absolutely beautiful. And then the opportunity to build those is an honor for us as Borrowdale Construction. Borrowdale Construction is already very active in the market. We are involved in several developments around Harare. We are building in Bulawayo as well, and we're pushing through to Masvingo, Rusapi, and Mutari as well, all part of our portfolio that is expanding literally on a monthly basis. We're supported by the state-of-the-art building equipment. We build, as the CEO just touched on briefly, is that a cost-effective building pattern, but not only cost-effective, it is a time and cost-effective pattern because we build very quickly. With the technology that we have available to us as Borrowdale Construction and Borrowdale Concrete, our construction goes up very quickly. Hence the reason why 36 months is just too slow for us. We look at 8 to 10 months in completing ground to key is what we would like to try and achieve for our clients. That way, your money spent is come back to you very quickly in a good return. The concrete side of things, we have evolved in the last 2 years from just a little batch plant that we started up 3 years ago. We now have 4 active batch plants in the country. We are growing those still, and we are producing concrete in a very effective, costly manner, and most importantly, at a very high quality of standard. We are fully home-owned. In other words, we own our equipment, we own our trucks, and we first and most importantly, take full ownership of our staff in the fact that we, as Mr. Hermit touched on, we prioritize training. You touched on gentlemen heading down to Durban last week purely to concentrate on the construction of bridges because it's something that we are passionate about, to also to be able to go into the communities and repair all our damaged bridges around the country. And that, obviously the CEO backing us, has granted us that access to that training and technology that's then coming and going forward with as well. So as Borrowdale Construction, being honoured to be able to join hands with Borrowdale Valley Estates and come and build here and add to this community. It really adds value to their statement as well that in town they're known as cluster developments. To Broadhaven we call them gated communities because what we're trying to build is a community, not just a cluster home. So we're trying to build gated communities that bring people together that are not housed together but actually become a community. So we really value that as a construction site, and we said we want to jump on board with that. And what we're seeing built here is one massive community. the housing, the schooling, the the conservation added value to the preservation of water, of the environment, of just the trees. These are the things that add massive value to the community. So being part of that is an absolute honor for us. So that being said, I think we've covered most of it. Mr. Majoni, thank you very much again for the opportunity for Borrowdale Construction and Concrete, and thank you and enjoy the day.
Coming up in Borrowdale North.
Hello. Thank you, Matt.
Imagine waking
Thank you, Matt. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for bearing with us. What's going to happen right now is we'll shortly be leaving for meals and drinks that will be served outside. But I would also like to take this opportunity to thank our partners who've come through to support us. We'll encourage you as you are going outside to the tent where we have our meals ready to network and interact. Go and see what they're showcasing. These are the people that are going to construct. These are the people that are going to bring materials to build Borrowdale Valley Estate. For those who wish, we have a tour that has been arranged to see what developments are on the ground, what is happening with BVE at this time. There's a tour bus that will be available outside. And I think that would conclude our program. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for sharing your time with us. It's been very valuable and we've enjoyed this moment with you.
The stories that will be shared there, that is the journey we are all on, and we want to make it comfortable. So our concept was based on the fact that we didn't want to have people who just owned stands. We wanted to see the built environment, and we wanted to get people into the solution of homes quickly. So imagine you have a child who's 3 years old, and it's going to take you 4 years just to buy the ground, or 5 years. The child is 8 and going to school, you haven't started building. It takes you another 4 years to build a house. The child is 12. And all of a sudden, life has transitioned. It has really happened. The sense of security that the child is